And then another desert band who we've seen a bunch of times, fortunately now, Yawning Man, Boomer, Mario Lally, like the true godfather of the desert rock scene. They finally put out a record after years and years of being the Melvins of that scene, right? Like the band that ushered in all the other bands. They put out a record called Rock Formations in the early 2000s, and that it's like surf rock, kind of. It's really spacious. It's like a spaghetti western soundtrack for hippies, is the best way I know how to describe it. It is my absolute favorite record to fall asleep to because it has got movement. It drives a little bit. It's a great driving record when you're out in wide open space, but it's also a really mellow record as well. And the interesting thing about Yawning Man is that Gary Arce, I think is his name. I don't know. The long-haired fella that plays guitar, like, doesn't know how to tune or play conventional chords. So you wind up with these weird kind of textural things. And then Mario, the bassist, is such a good musician that he plays around that. So Yawning Man doesn't sound like anything else in the world. But it does feel like when you can get your mind really, really quiet, and there's a lot of space in it, Yawning Man is one of those great sounding bands that can kind of fill the whole space inside your head.
Yep. They're
I was
simple
really excited
and
that you
straightforward
became...
without being boring.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm really excited that you have become a pretty big fan of them. So I'd love to hear a little more about like what drew you in.
The ability to play ridiculously late shows, actually show up, be sober enough to perform, and us get home at like 4:15 in the morning because they've played at some trashy bar in some side closet room. I
was like borderline falling asleep standing up at that show.
Yeah.
It was so great.
But like, I've seen 4 or 5 different bands at a super late night show before, and I've been there when it's not gone well, and it just makes you regret everything you've done over the last 24 hours. But like when you've got a good show, even when it starts super late, like it's a relief. Like, I've waited all day to get to this ridiculously late thing. I've been drinking Red Bull for 6 hours. Like, I know I'm probably going to fall asleep at least once while they're playing. So I really hope that they start well and also end well because I might miss the middle. And they just like, it's such a good, like, casual, reliable show to go to. And that's really hard to find from a rock band, especially one that has more of that kind of post-rock leaning like you're talking about, and guys who play a little less conventionally too. I love it.
You're right about the late night show thing. I hadn't really thought about that, but they're good because like when you can have a Red Bull and like push through the tired, if you take a nap before one of those shows and you push through, you're like really awake, and the night outside is quieter, right? Because like the bar scene is trimming down. So you're like really focused in, you're kind of wired and you're in, and yeah, it heightens all your senses, and they're a good band for those circumstances.